And we also, that's cool. And then we learned the three consonants, the b, the sh, and the t, and we learned one vowel which has two forms, but both those vowels say the same sound, which is ah, 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 ah. And then what we learned was to combine the vowel with the consonant, which means that you take a vowel, you add a consonant, you say b plus a is ba, 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 ba. Then you say sha, 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 and ta, 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 ta. And then you learn to say not just ta, but tat, bub, shush, shub, shut. And you learn to say, because you're combining, bash, bat, hush, tub, shub, and bash. So that's we established the basics of learning Hebrew, to read Hebrew. And then we got onto slightly more tricky words now with 3 letters and 2 vowels. I'll just read line 7 and 8. Babash, shabash, tabash, babat, bat. And then line 8, which are all real words, Shabbat, bat, Shabbat, shush, and Shabbat. So that's how we learned to combine. We then went on to lesson 2, where we learned some new letters. And those new letters are Aleph, the silent letter. It is there to facilitate the vowel. We had already learned Bet, and now we learn that if you take away that little ball in the belly of the Bet, you now get a soft sound, a V, a vet. Aleph, Bet, vet, V. Gimel, which has a little gap at the bottom. Daled, which looks a little bit like a door. Aleph, Bet, vet, Gimel, and Daled. Silent letter B, V, G, and D. And then we learnt another vowel, the little dot underneath the letter, which is E. E, E, E. E as in if. But we also learned that when you put this little apostrophe after the letter and the vowel, it elongates the E and it becomes E. E. E, B, B, V, V, G, G, D, D. So that was then our second vowel that we learnt. So that led us to be able to do some quite impressive things with our reading. And on page 13, it enabled us to now learn quite long sounds. So I'll just start on line 1. Av, Abba, Avi, Avad, Ibad. Line 2. Adash, Baish, Ishi, and Ish. So we've already been through some revision of this particular set, and some people also sent me their voice notes. But I think that because we had to skip last week, I'm just going to ask whether anybody would like to read a line from these 8 lines before we go on to revising our next lot of letters and vowels. Anybody who would like to read any one of these lines? Any volunteers?
I'm happy to.
Thank you. Robs, which line do you choose?
6 looks difficult.
You can do that.
Will you try it?
Yeah.
Thank you. Please do.
Dag.
Thank you.
Da'av.
Yes.
Da'ag. Dibat.
Good.
Dag.
And Doug. Excellent, excellent. A Doug, by the way, is a fish. So those are some real Hebrew words there. And you did well, Robin, because you remembered that the Aleph here has got no vowel. So it's just just chilling. Whereas here, it is facilitating a vowel. Dag, da'av. dag. Excellent. And you also remembered that if we haven't said anything to you about the dot being meaningful, then just ignore it. So the only meaningful dots we have right now is the dot in the ba. Otherwise, you see a dot, just tell your mind to ignore it. Well done. Any volunteers for any other line?
I'll do number 8.
Thank you, Riva.
Okay. Shavit,
Good.
Shavat,
Good.
Ba, let me just get this a minute. Ba, Shabat. No, is that right?
Excellent.
Shabbat.
Shabbat.
And
Good.
Shabbat.
Excellent. Well done, Riva. Any other volunteers? If nobody feels like volunteering yet, I'm still going to need you to volunteer from lesson 3. But let me just say that I hope everybody feels confident about lines 1 to 8 in lesson 2. Does anyone have any question about line 1 to 8? Okay, so we go on to lesson 3. So what are we being told in lesson 3? We're told in lesson 3, we've already learned Aleph, Bet, Vet, Gimel, Dalet, Sh, which is the shin and the taf. And we've already learned A, I, and E. Now we learn another 5 letters and another 1 vowel. The letters are H, as in house. House, the H, has a little hole right there. V, as in vine, it's just like a little finger that is sort of bent over. Z, Zion, which looks a little bit like the V, but the line on top goes all the way across and not just a curve downwards. Ch, chet, which looks like the H, like the hay, but it doesn't have a hole. So the throat is kind of closed up. Ch, 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 ch. And then here we have a very funny thing. We've got a tet, which says t. And you're going to say, but hang on a second, I already learned t, that one over there. And yes, indeed, we have now 2 letters in Hebrew that say the same thing, t and t. And we also have v and v. So you've learned 2 consonants that have the same sound, v and v, t and t. It can be a bit confusing. They have exactly the same sound. So they're just telling us here, don't worry, the h looks like the ch, but it's different. It's got a hole. H, ch. T has got a little toe here. It looks like the ch, but the ch doesn't have a little toe there. The ch has a little toe. T, ch. And then these ones sound alike. We've been over that already. So we then simply need to combine our new letters with vowels we already know. So let me just do that because I'm going to get you to do the harder part. So on line 1, va, 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 bi, vi, viv, biv, biv, and vav. Any questions so far? If not, line 2, tat, tat, teat, teat, tat, tach, and ta. Line 3, cha, ta, cha, ta, cha, ha, ta, cha, tat, chach, ha. Line 4, he, chi, ti, chi, he, ti, ti, chi, chit, ti, chich. Line 5, Va, za, za. You see the difference? Va, za, za. Vi, zi. Va, zi. Vi, vaz. Ziv, viz, vaz, and bav. So that's just getting us to practice those new letters that we learned. Then we learned a new vowel. The new vowel is A. Two letters dots next to each other. A as in hey, or A as in A. So H plus A is equal to hey. So here we got, again, just combine sound with consonant. Hey, 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 he, hey, he, they, vi, te, ta, ti, chi, hey, te, and che. Line 3, they, vi, zi, za, va, zays, and zave. And then we saw how they try to sort of represent like an English word in Hebrew, like shade or hate. So that is where we got to. Now, what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to put some quite difficult combinations together from lines 1 to 6. We have gone through some of these before, but I think we're now at a point where we're going to call on people to volunteer for lines 1 to 6. And well, we could start with these. These are the less complicated ones. It's just giving us the sounds. So I tell you what, I'm going to give you a choice to either volunteer for lines 1 to 6 on page 20 or lines 1 to 6 on page 21. And after that, we are going to go on to this set, which is similar, but which we haven't gotten to yet. So any volunteers either for the left-hand lot, lines 1 to 6, or the right-hand lot, lines 1 to 6?
Okay, I'll volunteer something.
Thank you, Harriet.
Line 2 on page 20.
Thank you.
So, hey,
Not
he,
hey. So just let's do the second one again.
ha.
Good.
So it's, but it's got a vowel at the bottom. So why is it? So
So
it's ha, hey,
yes.
ha,
So the-
ha, ha. Okay, got it. Ha,
Well, the first
ha.
one should really be there, Harriet. It's just saying to you, we're dealing now with the letter H.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It
So-
doesn't have, but this one does, and you said it correctly. It's
Hey,
no, because look at the
ha,
vowel.
ha. Sorry.
Good.
He, hey,
Good.
hey,
Good.
hey,
Look at your vowel again.
have.
No, so you had your consonants right. Just look at the vowel again.
Ha,
Good. And then this is a
d, a d.
good. So put them together.
Had,
Not hate, because it's the vowel is
had.
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 So you see where that is. So
Yeah,
it's h, a, d, had.
had. Okay, thanks.
Good.
Hey,
Good. Heish.
had,
Good.
and he, what's that? He.
Exactly. So now, because you know so many more vowels, you've just got to watch whether you're dealing with a or a.
A. Okay, thanks.
Would you be willing, Harriet, to do one more line on this page?
Okay. 3.
Good. So you can ignore the first one.
Right. So it's a V. Eh? Ve,
Give me the right vowel now.
va.
Good.
Va. Vi.
Good.
Vi.
Vowel
Vi-
again.
Ve.
Good.
Ve.
Good.
Vesh.
Give me the right vowel again.
Vash.
That's right.
Vig.
Good. So you're getting the consonants right, but you're just not getting the vowel. Give us the vowel again.
Vague.
Excellent.
Vague.
Good.
The Dag. Vague.
So let's
That's
look at
V.
that's right. A V plus.
And it's a Ch. Sorry.
It's actually not a ch, although it makes itself look like one because
It's
it's
a
got the
ch.
so it's
Ch.
the a
A. T. Vat.
but excellent.
Oh, goodness. Vat.
Good.
Vid.
Good. Vid. Good.
Vid. And Viv.
Excellent, Viv. So you know these exercises are just trying to establish the sounds, the new consonant and the vowel. So sometimes they make a word that is a bit sort of difficult, like Viv is not a word you will ever see, but they're just trying to get you to practice the sound. But well done, Harriet. So it's just a matter of concentrating on which vowel you are dealing with. Who else can give us a line on page 20 here?
Okay, I'll do one.
Thank you, Peter. Which line would you like to do?
Let me do line 6.
Thank you. So you can ignore the first one. It's just telling you that you're dealing with the letter T. Tet.
T. Te.
Good.
Te.
Good.
Tat.
Good.
Tid.
Again.
Tid.
So sorry, you might be reading that one. I'm still on this one.
Which one? Oh, Tish.
Good.
Tid.
Good.
And Tat.
Excellent. Who else? Marlene or Brian? Anybody else on the side of the page?
Yes, I'm looking at it.
You're not going to do it, Dad. All right, Mom, what about you? Line 4, maybe?
Daddy will do it.
Okay, line 4. You
Right.
can ignore the first one, Dad. It's just telling you that we're dealing with the letter Zion.
The, ze, they,
Yeah,
Zay.
Zay.
they, zat, zeish, zeig, zir, and z.
This one again, the last letter is a?
Vich.
It's a
Zich.
V. So this
Zich.
one is
Zich.
Ziv, that's right. And the last one is Zich. Ziv and Zich. Well done. Okay, so having established those rather tricky sounds, you can see sometimes it's quite confusing to know whether you're dealing with the A or the A. So that's the first thing to watch out for. And really, it is just a matter of practice. That's all it is. So page 21. Okay, I'll make a deal with you. I will read every second line. And I'm going to ask others to read alternatively with me. So the first one is actually quite easy. So let me do that one. And then I'm going to ask somebody to do number 2. Aviv. Ba viv. Ga, viv. Viv. And av. Anybody willing to try number 2?
Okay.
I'll try. Okay.
Thank you. Page line 2, Harriet.
Oh, am I good? Okay, sorry. Ta,
Good.
za,
Good, but now what's your vowel?
that's a, za,
Good. Eza.
ga,
Good.
ta,
Good.
va,
Try again.
cha, ava.
Good. So that's the thing that sometimes
This is the
trips.
one that gets me, yeah.
A-
Ava,
Good and
acha,
ach.
okay, ach.
Because that one's got no more. But great. So that was good. That was excellent progress, actually. Would you mind doing number 3 as well?
Oh gosh, I'm gonna have a panic attack in a second.
Sorry.
Yes, that's fine. He,
Good.
habach,
Okay.
hazat,
Good. Good.
habach, habat, so that's the
Vowel. Look at the vowel.
I'll be this one. Habait,
That's right. Habate.
habait, chat, the vowel again. Hachet,
Excellent. And
habait, habait.
that's right. Habate. Well done, Harriet. That's
Okay.
It's just a matter of watching when it's an I and when
The
it's an A.
vowel, yeah, those are confusing. Thanks.
Good. Number 4. Peter, maybe?
Okay. Hit
Good.
is Piv, Hita, Iva, Hit.
Excellent. Number 5, anybody? It looks difficult, but it isn't.
Shall I go?
Please, Reva.
Okay. Gadish,
Good.
Hadish,
Good.
Tadish,
Good.
Hadish,
Good.
and Hadish.
Excellent. Excellent. So that was lovely. And then line 6, I'll read bait, date, hate, tate, hate, and hate. Good. So this means we are really consolidating all of those sounds. So now really page, what is this page? Page 22 is really just more of that kind of practicing. And it is important to do the practicing because as you can see, when the word confronts you, there's quite a lot to process. You've got to process consonant sound, and then if it's like a long word, you've got to keep doing that. So it can become quite tricky. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read these 8 to you now. Just follow along, read aloud with me with your mute on. And then if you're struggling with anything, shout. And then I'm going to ask that everybody sends me their voice note for page 22, line 1 to 8, but I will remind you. Aviv, ahev, az, ach, aid, and esh. Line 2. Baz, biza, batach, gave, Gav, bait. Line 3. I'm being told my internet connection is unstable. I hope you can still hear me. Gav, Gadish, Geha, Gaze, Giza, Gaze. Any questions so far?
Yeah, what was that?
Diba, da. Sorry.
Last word, because you went funny.
Sorry, is it this word? Can you see my hand here?
Gazays or something.
Is it the last word, line 3?
Yes.
That's right, gazes. So Giza and gazes. Thank you.
Okay.
Line 4. Everybody okay? I'm on to
Yeah.
line 4 then.
Yes, we found.
Diba. Fantastic. Daga. Ata. Dash. Hey. And David. Can I go on to line 5? Any questions? Okay. He. Ha'av. Ha. Did. Have. Habet. And Haga. Line 6. Zavach. Zibach. Zahav. Ziv. Zavat. Zavad. Line 7. Zaid. Chibesh. Chagav. Chad. Ta. And Chag. Line 8. Chita. Chite. Chatat. Chashav. And Chadash. So now you can see there's a fair amount of complexity. Not that it's actually anything different from what you've already learned. It's just that it's now a little bit more complicated. So I want to just ask your guidance now. I could just say, can everyone do that for homework? And then I'll give you a little inkling of the next lesson, lesson 4. But would people prefer just to spend a bit of time on 1 to 8, perhaps? Anybody got any uncertainties about 1 to 8?
Do it
We all
for
okay with?
homework.
Okay, all right. I'm seeing quite a lot of nodding, so that's fine. So I'm going to ask everyone to do for homework lines 1 to 8 on page 22. And would you like me to send you the recording of those lines first? Would that help?
That's always helpful. Thanks.
Good. So I'll send you that. Okay, great. So we're on to lesson 4. So we only have 10 minutes. I'm not going to try and achieve too much because we've already, there's a lot, but I'll just get us onto what our new letters are. So we already know Aleph, Bet, Vet, Gimel, Dalet, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Shin, and Taf. And we know the vowels A, I, A. That's what we know already. Now today, we learn another 5, or depends on how you see it, 4 letters. What are they? So it turns out that this little apostrophe type letter, which is a letter that sits sort of above the line. So it doesn't sit at the bottom on the line. It's kind of suspended halfway up. And it's the one that we learned before, because in the case of the E, it makes the sound longer. E. But now we find out that when it is by itself, so here it's just elongating the vowel. But here we find out that it has also a life of its own, not simply to help along the vowel, but to say its own, to find its own voice, if I put it that way. And when it is operating on its own, it is a ya, a yud, as in yes. So when we see the yud, which looks like this, it's suspended halfway up. It's not there to just help the E from the one before now, but now it gets its own vowel. When it has its own vowel, it says yeah, it's a yud. Now we get this kaf. So the kaf is a little confusing because it looks a little like the bet and the vet. But whereas the bet and the vet, the line goes across. So it's got, it's not just around, but the bottom line goes across. Then it's bet and vet. When it's just the round, which looks like a sort of, I suppose it looks like a backward C, doesn't it? Then it's a k and a ch. So similarly, when it's got the ball in the tummy, it's a hard sound, k. When it's got no ball in its tummy, it's a soft sound, ch. K, ch. Now you're going to say to me, hang on a second, we've already learned ch. Indeed, you have. That's a ch, and that is also a ch. This dot matters. In this letter, the dot matters. K and ch. Then we get a long letter. It's a nice, long, lovely letter, and it's a lamed, a l. And then we get this letter with a hole at the bottom, and that is a m, a mem, as in mother. So now they're just telling you, don't worry too much. This thing is a bet. The line at the bottom is kind of solid, it goes across. But here is the kuf, b, k. You can see this is just a rounded letter. This one goes down at the bottom. That's a b, that's a k. They say that the vav and the yud look alike. I don't really think so. I don't really find them confusing, but the top is the same. But this one goes all the way down. It's a va. This is a ya. It's kind of suspended in midair. And then they say that the mem and the tet look similar. I don't know, maybe they do. This one has a hole in the bottom. This one has a hole at the top. So that might be a way to remember it. So those are our new letters. And then they're also reminding us the ch and the ch sound the same. So now we are back into that world that we've been in, which is trying to take the letter and simply to combine it with a vowel. So that what we're trying to do is to get our eye to recognize that that is ya, k, ch, l, and m. So firstly, any questions? If not, then what I think we should do for the 5 minutes that we have left is just go through these 9 lines. Because all it is, it's just trying to get our brain to recognize another letter. So there's no new vowel. The vowels are the same, including this latest one that we learned. We're just trying to combine now a new letter with a vowel. So line 1, ka, cha, ha, cha, ka, cha, 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 ha, chi, and chi. Any questions? Line 2, va, ya. You see how that yud works when it's got its own vowel? Ya plus a, ya. Ya. Yi, Vi, Yay, Ve, Vash, Yash, and Vesh. Line 3, Mi, Ti, Ti, Ma, Ma, Te, Ti, Mi, Te, and Mit. So just to say in terms of where we are, it is important now that we sort of consolidate what we had in the last lesson so that everybody is able to read these, what's on line 22, reasonably easily, because now we are thrown into more complexity, because now we have these 5 new letters, and we've now got to be able to do the same thing that we've been doing, but with these new letters. So let me just run through the lines and then we'll break. So I think I got up to line 4. Hi, cha, te, che, ti, or ti, he, ta, chi, and he. Line 5. Vi, zi, bi, ve, che, he, te, and te. Line 6, now this is where they're showing how confusing it can be with the ba and the ka and the cha. Ba, ka, cha, va, be, che, ki, bi, chi, and vi. Line 7. Yi, vi, ya, za, va, ve, de, ge, ya, va, zi, and vi. Line 8. Kish, chash, bicha, bicha, kav, bav. And line 9. Mi, me, ti, ma, at, mit, and tate. So I think what I'm going to suggest for homework is that everybody does 2 lots, lines 1 to 8 on page 22, and lines 1 to 9 on page 26, because what that will force you to do is to try and internalize the 5 new letters. If you only get a chance to do 1, do 22, because that's what we really need to consolidate, because we're moving on. Whereas we'll still be working with these new letters for a while. So if you can get the new letters under your belt, terrific. If you can't, at least make sure that you have completed up to the end of lesson 3, because as you see, lesson 4 now takes us further. But I will send out all those sounds. And then next week, we will go back over page 26, and then we'll also go on to page 27 and 28. And as you can see, it's just now repeating. We don't learn a new vowel yet. We're just now making sure that we can recognize all of these letters. And then what you'll also see is that now these are all real words on page 30. You actually now pretty soon are able to learn to sort of read quite a lot of real Hebrew. And then, as you shall see very soon, you find, this is now the alphabet, you find that actually you are more than halfway through the alphabet. I'll just quickly demonstrate that to you. So you've learned Aleph, Bet, Vet, Gimel, Dalet, He, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, and Yud. You've learned Kaf and Chaf, lamed, and mem. So you're actually not left with terribly much. We are getting close to the end of the alphabet. So once you've got line 4 under your belt, lesson 4 under your belt, you really have broken the back of learning to speak, of reading Hebrew. And then it's just a matter of introducing another few letters and another 1 or 2 vowels. And you will find that you are soon actually able to look in the prayer book and read it. So it can be a bit tricky at this stage, but don't lose hope. Hang in there. Lessons 3 and 4 are crucial. Once you got them, you are nearly through it. Fantastic. 6:18. Any questions? Otherwise, I'm going to grab my prayer book and let's see if we can offer some prayers for those who are sick. Any quick question, anybody? Okay. I'm going to grab my Siddur. And you'll see very soon you're going to be able to grab the prayer book for yourself and open it up and read from it. Is it necessary to put on a tallis in order to pray for the sick or to do any prayer? Really, no, it's not. If you go up to the Torah, you really should. Other than that, you really don't have to. But I just like to, because I think it just shifts your energy when you do. Okay, so I'm going to go to the Siddur. I'm going to go to the weekday Amidah. The weekday Amidah includes the prayer for the sick. It is on page 86. Okay, so I don't know if anybody else has a prayer book in front of them. Otherwise, I'll just read it from here. So, shall we just maybe share the names of people whose healing we would like to pray for? So I'm going to ask you just to call out the names of anybody who's sick.
Ian Gordon.
Thank you, Ian Gordon.
Darren Furry.
Is that Darren, did you say?
Darren.
Darren Furry.
Dana Bloom.
All right.
First name again.
Dana Bloom.
Peter. Dana Bloom.
And the Saul family.
Sylvia
Sylvia Maythor. Peter, did you say the Saul family?
Saul family, yeah.
S-A-U-L.
I've got Ursula Hurley, Victor Wrightsick, Natalie Simpson, Sylvia Maythol, Alvin Nyker, Malvin Singer, Almudina Christodolo, Dirkie van Jaarsveld, Sheila and Shelley Aronstam.
And I've got to add Isla Feldman.
And I want to add Daniel Hudson, please. He had a bad burn accident with the hot water bottle exploding.
Oh no. That's Leslie's son. I'm very sorry to hear that.
Oh.
How funny.
Oh gosh. That's been horrible.
Can we add one happy one? It's Irene Stefani's birthday today, so all love and healing prayers to her as well.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Okay, so we've mentioned the name of quite a lot of people. I'm going to add Amina Frenza, Ronnie Castrol's wife, who's just tested positive, and hoping that she doesn't get it badly. All right, so we have mentioned the names of quite a number of people who are sick. Some are people we've been praying for a while. Some are people whose names we've just added. Some are quite ill, acutely ill. So let's just shift our energy for a moment and just spend a moment just thinking about people who are sick. So in order to pray for their healing, okay, so there's a little bit that I'm going to add that isn't in the prayer book, which so on page 86 of there we go. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Rafa'enu Adonai v'nerafe Hoshi'enu v'nivasher v'ha'ale refuah shalema lekol makotenu ulekol chalu'enu ulekol machoivenu yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu b'motenu שתעלה רפואה שלמה לכל החולים שאנחנו חושבים עליהם, לכל האנשים שאנחנו מתפללים בעד רפואה שלמה. ברוך אתה אדוני רופא החולים. Heal us, O God, and let us be healed. Save us, and we shall be saved, for you are our hope. And may it be your will to bring a full and complete healing to all those whose names we have mentioned, to all who are ill. We ask that it may be your will to grant them a full and speedy recovery, and that you grant full healing to our every illness, wound, and pain. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who heals the sick. Amen. We pray for healing and comfort for all who are sick. Lots of love, everybody. Keep safe. Stay well. We see you.
Thank you. Thanks, Val.
And
Bye.
Um,
Riva, can I ask you about Allah? What's the
Yes.
problem?